Hi Big Owls, my name's Brian and I'm the first time owner of an Honduran Milksnake. I've never owned a snake before, so I was hoping you might be able to answer a couple questions I have. Question number one is, do I really need a separate enclosure to feed him in, or will this one be just fine?
Hey Brian, that's an excellent question. Personally, I don't like feeding snakes in a separate enclosure. The reason people actually move snakes into a separate enclosure for feeding is because they feel by doing so, the snake won't ever have a strong feeding response in its main enclosure and will only have a strong feeding response in its separate container. The benefit of that is when you put your hands in the main enclosure, the snake won't be expecting food, so you're less likely to get nipped. But the problem with that is, if you're constantly taking a snake out of its main enclosure to try and feed it, if you're dealing with a snake that's more finicky or easily startled, you're actually going to completely inhibit its feeding response by moving it into a separate container, meaning the snake might not eat at all, which is a much bigger problem. So what I recommend is always feed the snake in its regular enclosure and simply make sure that you haven't handled any food items when you're planning to handle the snake. That way, the snake doesn't smell food and it's not expecting food, so even if you do put your hands in the tank to clean up or pull the snake out, you're not going to have to worry about getting nipped.
Question number two is, I've heard I need to spray or mist him from time to time. Is that true, or will that just annoy him?
So the answer to that is yes, you do want to mist. I just don't recommend you mist the reptile directly. It's actually better that you just mist the general enclosure. What that'll do is it'll put water droplets everywhere that will slowly evaporate, raising the humidity of the enclosure. You want your humidity for your Honduran milksnake to be somewhere between 50% to 70%, and definitely closer to the 70% during your reptile's shedding cycle. It's also really important that you have a hygrometer, or what's also known as a humidity gauge, so that you know what the humidity in the enclosure is. You can mist as often as necessary, but you don't want your substrate to get soppy, so make sure that you don't overdo it.
Finally, I know that milksnakes are native to North America, so apart from a small heating pad, do I need any additional heat source, or is he comfortable in our climate?
Although your milksnake's a milksnake, a Honduran milksnake from Honduras is going to require a lot higher temperatures than what you'd see from a North American milksnake. Your milksnake is going to want an ambient temperature around 80 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit and a basking temperature somewhere between 84 to 86 degrees. What that means is you're probably going to require an under-tank heat pad and possibly even an over-tank heating element like a bulb or a ceramic heat emitter in order to get the temperatures accurate for your snake. Just be careful, you want to use a thermometer to make sure those temperatures are perfect. Otherwise, if they're too low, you may have a snake that won't feed for you because it's in hibernation mode. Or if they're too high, you could have more drastic problems like potentially frying your reptile. Brian, excellent questions. Thank you so much for asking. Hopefully I was able to help you out a little bit there. If anybody else has any questions, whether it's about aquariums or reptiles or any other pet, and want to be in one of our videos, go ahead and record yourself asking that question in your mobile device and send it in to us. And maybe you'll be featured in one of our videos.